welcome to Ivanti Service Manager Training. In this course, we're going to learn about quick actions. I'll give you an overview of a quick action. We'll describe what a quick action does or can do. I'm going to give you some examples of quick actions that are currently in use, maybe some quick actions that you might create. We'll talk about the various methods of running a quick action. We'll talk about who can run a quick action, and then also about who can create a quick action. And then finally, we're going to go in and create our own quick action. So let's get started. Let me get logged in here. So basically, a quick action enables ISM users to perform a series of actions or functions with a single click. So quick actions can, they usually have one action, like to send an email or to update a value in a record or, something like that. But you can add additional actions to a quick action. So it might change a value in a field and then create a task for somebody. So you can definitely do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up my incident business object for this example. And so here we see this list view. Now, a quick action can be run against just a single record here, or it can be run against, several records that are selected. I could run it against all of those. So the way that you would run a quick action is you'd go to the business object, in this case incident, and you'd select either the single record or the multiple records. And then quick actions are run with these buttons here. These all run quick actions. If I open up a record, okay, I see more toolbar buttons here and more over here. These also all run quick actions. And then within the form itself, here I've got one, here I've got this and this. These all also run quick actions. Okay, so as far as what quick actions somebody can run, it all comes back to their role. And so the quick actions would be tied to the forms and the layouts, and then they would come back to the role. So let's take a look at a few of the quick actions that are available out of the box. So I'm on an incident right here, and let's say that I wanted to escalate this to a problem. I want somebody to know there's a problem here. So here we've got a button. We've called it Add Problem. What this quick action does is when I run it, it takes values from certain fields of the incident and it puts those over into the mapped fields of a problem. And you can see in this case it didn't fill out all of the fields, so I would go in and actually, fill that in if I want to. Something like that. So basically when you're setting it up, you're telling it, which values from the incident are going to go into which fields of the problem. So that's one example of a quick action that's available out of the box. Another would be when you are on an incident, we've got assign over here. And what that quick action is doing is it's filling in values of the record here. So if I go in and I choose assign, it's going to put my name in the owner field and then my default team in the team field. Okay, sure, I'll save those. Okay, so over here, let's just do all active. Okay, so some of these have other owners there. I could maybe select a couple of these. Whoops. All right, and then if I don't have a button to do that, now the quick actions that are available to run against one record might be different than the quick actions that you have to run against multiple records. Now, just because you don't see it on here as a toolbar button does not mean that there's not a quick action that can be run against, these multiple records. So I've selected a few records here, and if I come over here to more, what we have is we have categories. And within these categories, we've got quick actions as well. So you may also have it as a button, but you can see it as a category as well. So if I want to assign, if I want to assign all of these that are selected to me, I would come over here to Form Actions, and we have Assign Incident to Me. So I select that, and it puts my name in the owner field and then my default team in the team field. Okay, so it's populating fields, it's taking information from one business object to another, a lot of different things that you can do with the quick actions. Now, like I said, out of the box, it comes with a lot of different quick actions. If these are quick actions that you don't want to use, maybe you've customized your system, something like that, you can just unpublish these. They can stay in the system in case you ever want to use them in the future, but you can also just unpublish them so that your users don't see them when you go live. So let's take a look at who can create a quick action. I'm going to change my role up here to administrator. Again, the quick actions are all tied back to the role that you're using. So to see the different roles and their rights, I need to be using the administrator role. I come over here to this wrench. It opens up the configuration console. And then from here, I click on roles. Just collapse that. All right, so let me go to, how about the service desk analyst role? Okay, and over here we've got system permissions. You've been here already if you did the searching class. We've got that on there, and then also the dashboards. But up here you'll see action, and action is short for quick action. And over here, if you want the user, whoever's logged in using their service desk analyst role, if you want them to be able to create quick actions, then you just check that box there, and then edit for all. Take that off, and when you put edit for all, it adds actions down here, and then it gives you a list of the actions that your role is allowed to create and share quick actions with. Okay, I'm just going to leave it as, we'll just do both of those there. Okay, and then remember, delete takes on the same characteristics as the edit does. Okay, so I've just gone in and shown you how to let the service desk analyst create quick actions. But with that, I want to provide a little warning here. So I'm going to open up a business object. Again, I'm going to open up incident. Okay, and we saw how easily it was to just select multiple records and apply a quick action. There's no undo with this. So sometimes people get a little bit nervous giving, that much power to, their service desk analysts or, various groups of people that are using the system. So if that's the case, you do not have to put these on the list view. So right over here, I've got the more, and I see the different quick actions. Well, we could just simply remove that from the list view of this layout if we didn't want them to run, or if there's some that you don't want to have run against multiple records. And then if they had a record opened up, then you might give them full rights to run any quick action against that you want to. So this right here, this more and this list, this is in form view of the layout. Okay, so if you've got it as accessible using the list view, they can run it against multiple records. So just kind of something you'll need to think about in your own environment. Okay, now quick actions are tied to the business object. So I would, if I'm looking at incident here and I open up incident, when I come over here to more, if I see edit actions, that means the role that I'm using is allowed to create quick actions. Now I might be only able to create them for myself, but it is still going to allow me to create quick actions. Now in the templates class, we went in, templates are a type of quick action, and we went in and showed you how to create templates and some of the options there. Well, in this class here, we're just going to take a look at some of the other quick actions that are available. So I'm just going to leave this selected. I'll stay with my administrator role for now, and then choose edit actions. Okay, so on the left, you've got two tabs, Your Actions and Create New Actions. These are the existing. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, if you wanted to not use some of these, but you didn't want to delete them, you could come in, let's take this one here, and we've got these different quick actions. I'm going to select this first one here, which is Create Memo, and you could just disable it. Okay, that's one thing, or you could just remove, who you've published it to. So a couple different ways. So you're not actually getting rid of it, but you're making it so that it's not available for others to run. Now, another nice thing with quick actions, and we learned this in the templates class, is you can clone a quick action. So if it's something that you want to do almost like this, but I want to have a few things changed, you could simply clone it and change whatever it is that you want to change on that. Now remember, when you clone it, it does give it the exact same name, so you'll want to rename that. What doesn't get cloned, though, is who it's published to, so you'd have to go in and select that. But let's go in and let's look at the Create New Actions tab. Now, some of these you'll never use. Some of these go with other applications that you might own, things like that. So some you might not use. But let's take a look at some of these here. So we'll look at some of the more commonly used. Now, you can, go into the help file, and it's going to give you a lot more information about the quick actions, how they're used, some examples, syntax, things like that. But we're just going to walk through a few that are more commonly used. The first one that I want to point out right here is clone object. Well, we already saw that we could clone a quick action. That's what this does. But clone object would be, if I have a record open, I'm just going to actually open it. Okay, and I run a clone object quick action against this, okay, it's going to make a copy of this incident. Now the incident ID will change, and you'll be able to put in your own, customer name and things like that, but it's a quick and easy way to clone an existing record. Now I'm doing my example here in incident, but all of these same quick action options apply in the other business objects. We're just using incident because it's the most commonly used. All right, so that was clone object versus clone quick action. Let's see, what else is commonly used? Remember, there's no undo. So I like to point that out when we show people the delete there. Delete object is going to delete either the single record or the multiple records that are selected. Let's see here. What else do we want to look at? We've got a few. We've got, you could do an export data. And actually, let me tell you a little bit more before I go down the list. Some more is, I showed you that you could run quick actions from a menu and then also from toolbar buttons or buttons on the form. Another way to run a quick action is through a workflow. So your workflow can automate this process. Basically, what the workflow does is when somebody, creates or saves a record, when they hit save, the workflows that were created for incidents, it's going to look through all of those workflows, and it's going to look at the trigger, and it's going to see if it matches that criteria. So if the trigger says, if the service is desktop service, create a task for, our support team, or something like that. So it's looking at, once you save this, it's going to look at all of the workflows, and then if any that match the criteria, it's going to run those workflows against the incident. So keep that in mind when you're looking at some of the options over here, like I just mentioned the export data. So we could have, if certain conditions are met on an incident, or maybe it's a problem, maybe it's a change, you could have data exported. All right, we also have the export to Microsoft Excel. Now, as you click on these, it's going to show you what your options have over here. So for the export to Excel, we've got over here, we've got the fields that are going to be exported, the column header, which is usually the name. Sometimes it's a little different. And then value expression. So we could say, okay, well, if the status is, equal to active or something like that. So you can set up that criteria. Again, be sure to look at the help files, because they'll give you a lot of examples and let you know about syntax and things like that. And also, don't be afraid to look at the ones that currently exist to see if that's something that you could use. Okay, so we talked about some export. Insert child object. This is another one that is very useful. And if I come back to my user interface here, and I have my incident open, down here we have these different tabs. We talk more about this in the relationship class, but we have these tabs here. And like task, I'm going to open up a couple more for you. And how about problem? All right, we'll just have those open for now. These are other business objects. So incident's a business object, but these here are also other business objects. The reason that I pull up this incident and I can come down here to task and create a new task, when I'm creating this task, sorry, I said that wrong. When I'm creating this task, okay, what I'm doing is I'm creating a task record for that business object, but it's going to be linked to the incident. And the way those get linked is a unique identifier of the incident, so the rec ID number, big long number, not this one here, okay, that gets put into a link field of the child. So here I'm looking at the parent and I'm looking at the child here. So our child object over here, I'm going to come back to the quick actions, okay, and I had selected the insert child. Well, over here it says child object. This is where you're going to look for the name of that other business object. Now these here are just names of relationships. Normally they're going to be read, you know, on the left would be the parent and on the right would be the child. Let's take a look at our, where was task? We've also got the incident contains task. Now don't worry about the contains or associates. Again, these are simply names, but what I'm looking for over here is I've got incident and then contains task. So that's the relationship, meaning that a unique identifier to the incident, which would be the rec ID number, gets put into a link field of the task. So that's how the system knows which tasks go with which incident. Again, I'm only using incident as an example. But anyway, so I could have it create, you know, a task record. And then when I choose task over here, what I'm seeing on the field list over here is I'm seeing fields for the task business object. So if I went over here and I went to task, new task, okay, I could figure out which fields I wanted to put data in. So in my summary field, I might put, let's see, let's find our summary field here. Right there, okay. And it might be something like, go see, whoops. And then you could use field codes as well. So I've got insert a field. When I click on this, I'm seeing the incident business object because that's what I'm on when I'm creating this, this quick action. And then fields over here, I've got different fields. So I could put something like the, I don't know, the customer name or the customer location. Let's do, not go see, let's put go, I don't know, something like that. So you could have the location there, okay? And then you just continue to, what other fields do you want to fill in? So maybe for the team, I want to have it be desktop support. So over here, I would add another field. Sorry about that. Okay, so over here, you're going to see a list of the different teams, and I said I was going to put it to desktop support. All right, so now when an incident gets created, it's going to put the, you know, where they're going to go to, and then it's going to put the team that's going to receive this task. And if you wanted to put something in the details, you could do that. All right, just D for details and it pulls it up. All right, so customer says, and then over here you might enter the field. And remember, the fields is just going to take the value from that incident and put it into that field of the task. So I'm going to put in, I'll just put the description here into that one there. Okay. I should have done this first, but I'm going to give my quick action a name. Actually, I'm going to put my initials on it so I can find it a little easier. Okay. Now the description, you want to put whatever this is going to do, you can put that there. And then the category, that's where it would show up here. These are all categories. If you didn't assign it a category, it would just show up right here. So if I come down here to enter category, if you come way over to the right and click on the arrow, you'll see the existing categories, and then you can select the category that you want. If it doesn't have a category that you want to use, you can simply type it here and it'll add that as a new category. But I'm going to leave mine as no category. Okay? And then you'll come over to the right, and we've got these tabs here. So action settings, and this would be the role that I'm allowed to, or roles that I'm allowed to publish to. Now I'm currently using the administrator role, so I see everybody. If I was using the service desk analyst role, I'm only going to see service desk analyst and service desk manager. I'm just going to publish it to the service desk analyst role. Okay. Now there are other options over here. You could have it show it as a toolbar button. If you did do that, you could end up, running out of space here for the toolbar buttons before long, but that is an option. You can also add it as a toolbar button when you're doing the layouts of a business object. Where am I here? Okay, hide in UI. Maybe there's a workflow that runs this and you don't want the users to ever run it. You could hide it in the user interface. Automatically save changes when the action is run in the UI form context. Basically, if I check that box, when the quick action is run against a record, it's going to automatically try to save that record. Well, if not all of the fields are filled in on the record, they'll get a pop-up message that says, these certain fields cannot be empty. So think about when somebody might run this and if they would have all the required fields filled in already. Okay. Now I actually did put values in the required fields here. And then you could even have it hidden or disabled in the user interface when a certain condition is met. So hide in UI, it could be that I have it as one of these, a button up here and we don't show it if it's, currently in the active state or something like that. So you've got some options there. Disable, it would just show it grayed out. And then you can even have a prompt pop up before they run the quick action. We show a little bit more about that one in the templates class. I'm not going to, save it. You could, actually I could save it, but you would also have to have the type of task in there. So again, it's just important to know which fields, would need values if you were running a quick action. So also over here, so that was insert a child object. Another one would be insert object. A good example of this one here is when I'm on an incident and I choose problem over here. Okay, so it's taking the values from this incident and it's putting them into the fields of a problem. So in that case, I would be, where am I here? Inserting an object. So object record, basically. Okay. There is a run program. This is easier for premise users to use because you've got access to, everything on the network. But for the run program, you'd tell it the name of the program. You'd make sure that you could connect, you can run a test over here. And then this might be something that you call up in a workflow. A workflow might say, well, if these conditions are met, then run this quick action, which opens another program and maybe puts in values from, a record from the from ISM, so an incident or a problem. So we do have the run program. Another one is run web service. So again, you think about what you've got in here, and you've got values in the different fields. If there's a website that you go to and you want to take values from the fields in a record and put them into the web service, you can do that. Has to be a registered domain though, not a not like an intranet. That can be done too, but it's done differently. Run for child, so you'd specify the child. Maybe we wanted it to close all the tasks or something like that. You've got run for child. Over here, who's the child? Remember these over here on the left, it's usually the parent. On the right, it would be the child. So let's say we wanted to do, I don't know, the task. Okay. Actually, task assignment, I shouldn't point you to task. Task assignment is the tasks that we create in the user interface. So I could do, whoops, task assignment there. child object filter, so I can tell it which records to run this against. And then here I would call up a quick action. So here I'm saying when I run this against the tasks, I want it to, cancel or accept or something like that. Okay. What else do we have over here? Search and link. Search and link. That would be just like in the user interface. Let's say on an incident, I link the configuration items. Here's where I put in my search criteria, fields, value, operators. Okay. Well, the same thing can be done with a quick action. So again, think about maybe with a workflow. If a record is created or saved, certain conditions are met, then maybe we want to search and link. So in this case, like I said, configuration items. So you could do something like that. Oops. Maybe I'm looking for their, how about a printer? Okay, so that's the relationship. This is telling it now the incident. It's looking at the configuration items that are printers. And then in here, you can fill out the criteria. So it could be the printer, maybe asset tag number or name or something like that. Okay, there's your operators. You could say that it's equal to, and you could put a field or a field condition there. So over here, we have the different fields, and you could drag that over there. So a lot of different options there. So that was search and link. There's also search and unlink to do the opposite. Send an email. So this one right here, we've got a lot of quick actions created where it will send emails. So if you come down here, we've got notifications, and that's what a lot of these are going to do here is send emails. There's templates, and then finally update object. All right, so update object. Let's say that if an example that we do, because we kind of do this in the workflows, is if a customer is a VIP, we make the priority a 1. So all that quick action would have to do is put a 1 in the priority field. So let me just put my initials in here. And in here, I'm looking for the priority field. And I would put in a 1. Okay, and then over here on the right, who am I going to publish this to? It could be just so for one person to run, or it could be for everybody, or it could be that a workflow runs it. So we've got a lot of different options there. And then to run it, oh, I didn't actually publish it to myself, so I can't run it, but okay. So those are some examples of quick actions. Just do a little recap here. So in the user interface, you would go to whatever business object that you want to create the quick action for. I used incident, but let's just go to problem for this one. All right, so you go to the business object, depending on the role, because the role determines who's going to see edit actions. So if the role you're using doesn't have rights to create quick actions, they're not going to see the edit actions. They'll see these other categories where they can run quick actions if it's published to their role. Okay. All right, so that's who can run it. To create them, it has to be a role, remember, that has rights to create quick actions. And we would find that, let's just go in here, under the actual role. So I'd come over here to roles, I'd pick the role, and then you're going to see system permissions. So if I want Service Desk Analysts to be able to create quick actions for themselves, I would check that. If I want them to be able to create and edit for themselves in other roles, I would check that. And then I would come down here and specify those roles. Okay, and then remember, delete would be the same as whatever you selected for edit. So that's determining who can create a quick action for themselves and also to share or delete with others. And to actually create the quick action, you're in the business object, you would come over to Action menu and choose Edit Actions. Okay, under Create New Actions, we've got the different types of quick actions that you can create. Once you've created one, let's go back to my update here. Okay, once you've created the quick action, then over here on the right-hand side, you're going to choose the roles that you're going to publish that to. Okay, that's what you'd see over there. And then again, you have other options, shows a toolbar button, maybe hide or disable in the user interface if certain conditions are met, things like that. And then even a, confirm before run, so a message could pop up. All right, so those are quick actions, pretty useful. Okay, let's take a look at some different ways that we can get help within the Ivanti Service Manager product. You can go to Home, Administer, and Using Quick Actions. You would use the question mark key in the upper right-hand corner, and that's going to show you all kinds of existing quick actions, syntax, things like that. And then don't forget to join the Ivanti Insider program. And then finally, we've put together some exercises that you might try out. So the first one here is to create a quick action that when run will send an email to the ticket owner. So remember, you're going to use the owner field, and then letting them know that the customer called to check on the status of their incident. So what it's going to do is it's going to send that email out. Set this up so that that quick action is disabled, meaning it's going to show as grayed out on the list if the incident status is set to resolved. So any other status, it's not going to be grayed out, but if it's resolved, it will be grayed out. And then finally, navigate to the Service Desk console, the user interface, and test out your quick action. Test it against an incident that is set to active. Make sure you can do that. And then change an incident or locate an incident that's resolved and make sure that that quick action is grayed out on the menu.